The Gaza Strip is witnessing ongoing intensive bombardment by Israeli forces from various fronts, air, land, and sea, leading to increased civilian casualties, displacements, and infrastructural damage. Moreover, there are reports of fierce clashes between Israeli troops and Palestinian armed factions, especially in the southern Gaza city and the Al-Mawasi region northwest of Khan Yunis, where tens of thousands of internally displaced individuals are currently situated. This week, Israel admitted that its soldiers are pumping seawater into tunnels in Gaza. Some experts say this could break international rules and cause long-term problems in the area. Reports about this have been around for a while, but Israeli and U.S. officials, like President Joe Biden, didn't confirm them when asked. The IDF had trouble finding and going through the tunnels in Gaza because they were very tricky and hidden well by the groups in Gaza. Even though the IDF tried to find and destroy them, some tunnels were still hard to find or get into, making it tough to stop them completely. These tunnels were not simple passageways, but rather an intricate network of underground passages. They often extended deep into the ground, making it difficult to detect and navigate them accurately. While the IDF attempted to flood tunnels by pumping seawater or other liquids into them, the pumping capacity and volume of water needed to flood deep and extensive tunnel networks were often insufficient. The tunnels were often too extensive and complex for the amount of water being pumped in to have a significant effect. Flooding tunnels with seawater also raised environmental concerns, as it could contaminate groundwater and cause ecological damage in the surrounding area. In a recent email soliciting donations, Trump expressed sorrow over what he perceives as President Joe Biden's shortcomings, labeling him as inept and implying that his leadership is leading the country toward World War III. Trump has also touted himself as the only candidate capable of preventing such a catastrophic event. As tensions rise due to conflicts like those between Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Hamas, various political figures, including Trump, are using alarmist language about the possibility of a global conflict. However, historians argue that comparing the current situation to past world wars is not appropriate. A study carried out by the American Psychological Association shortly after Russia's invasion of Ukraine last year revealed that nearly 70% of Americans harbored concerns about the possibility of entering World War III. This sentiment has been promoted by supporters of Russian President Vladimir Putin. While the organization has not repeated the survey question since then, the escalation of conflict in the Middle East seems to be reigniting those anxieties. Most experts do not believe that the widespread concern about World War III indicates that we are on the verge of such a crisis. While there may be differing opinions on the definition of a world war, it typically entails two significant alliances of countries vying for supremacy, with multiple nations on each side engaging in armed conflict across various regions. In an exclusive interview with NDTV, Ian Bremmer expressed concern that the ongoing conflict could escalate into a larger and more devastating confrontation in the Middle East, especially if Iran becomes directly involved in the fighting. Bremmer highlighted the possibility of Hezbollah, backed by Iran and possessing significant military capabilities, joining the conflict directly. Additionally, he warned about the inevitable ground invasion of Gaza by Israel, emphasizing its potentially massive global repercussions. Bremmer cautioned that such an invasion, while seemingly inevitable, would result in a high civilian casualty count among Palestinians and could provoke backlash worldwide, stressing the detrimental impact it could have on the situation. What was Israel before 1948? During World War I, the Middle East was under the rule of the Ottoman Empire. This region was inhabited by a Jewish minority and an Arab majority, along with various smaller ethnic groups. Tensions between these two communities escalated when the United Kingdom was tasked by the international community with establishing a national home in Palestine for the Jewish people. This mandate stemmed from the Balfour Declaration of 1917, in which then Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour pledged support to Britain's Jewish community. The Balfour Declaration became a part of the British mandate over Palestine, and received endorsement from the newly formed League of Nations, the precursor to the United Nations, in 1922. During the period between the 1920s and 1940s, there was a significant influx of Jewish immigrants into Palestine, many of whom were escaping persecution in Europe, particularly during the Nazi Holocaust of World War II. Simultaneously, tensions between Jewish and Arab communities, as well as resistance against British rule, intensified, leading to increased violence. In 1947, the United Nations voted in favor of partitioning Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states, with Jerusalem designated as an international city. While Jewish leaders accepted this plan, the Arab side rejected it, and as a result, it was never put into effect. In 1948, unable to solve the problem, Britain withdrew and Jewish leaders declared the creation of the State of Israel. It was intended to be a safe haven for Jews fleeing persecution, as well as a national homeland for Jews. Fighting between Jewish and Arab militias had been intensifying for months, and the day after Israel declared statehood, 5 Arab countries attacked. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians either fled or were expelled from their homes during what they refer to as al-Nakba, or the catastrophe. By the time a ceasefire was reached the following year, Israel had gained control over the majority of the territory. Jordan occupied the territory that came to be known as the West Bank, while Egypt took control of Gaza. Jerusalem was divided, with Israeli forces in the western part and Jordanian forces in the eastern part. Due to the absence of a peace agreement, subsequent decades saw more wars and ongoing conflict in the region. Why are Israel and Gaza at war now? Gaza is governed by Hamas, an Islamist faction dedicated to Israel's destruction and labeled a terrorist organization by the UK and numerous other nations. Hamas emerged victorious in the Palestinians' most recent elections in 2006. Subsequently, they seized control of Gaza in 2007 by ousting the Fatah movement, led by President Mahmoud Abbas, which is based in the West Bank. Since then, Gaza militants have engaged in multiple conflicts with Israel. Both Israel and Egypt have imposed a partial blockade on Gaza to isolate Hamas and prevent attacks, especially the indiscriminate firing of rockets into Israeli cities. Residents of Gaza argue that Israel's limitations and airstrikes on densely populated areas constitute collective punishment. This year marked the highest recorded number of Palestinian fatalities in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem. Palestinians also voice grievances about restrictions and military operations in response to lethal attacks on Israelis. These tensions might have contributed to Hamas's recent assault. Additionally, militants may have aimed to garner support among ordinary Palestinians, potentially leveraging hostages to compel Israel to release some of the roughly 4,500 Palestinians detained in its prisons. We've explored the historical background, the current dynamics, and the various perspectives surrounding this issue. It's important to remember that behind the headlines and statistics are real people living in difficult circumstances, facing daily challenges and uncertainties. As we strive for a better understanding of the situation, let's not lose sight of the human stories and the impact of these events on individuals and communities. If you found this video informative or thought-provoking, please consider liking and sharing it to help raise awareness about the complexities of the Gaza-Israel conflict. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful content on global issues and current affairs.